We farm in LaSalle County in Ottawa. We farm corn and soybeans, and we are a generational farm. I am the 5th generation to farm with my dad, and before he passed away, we also farmed with my grandfather. So back in 2012, I took my first trip when I was 16 years old to Uganda in Africa, just as a mission trip through my local church at the time, and getting to see the differences between a third world country and our country. So it's ITI, which stands for Innovations for Transformation Initiative, and is a nonprofit in Uganda that was started by our friend Milton, and he is from Uganda and grew up in one of the poorest parts of the country, and he really wanted to be able to help his people. It's just really surprising to see that we live in the same world, and they do everything still by hand. They don't have many road infrastructures, and they don't really have electricity that comes off of the main road down to where all these villages are at. So they're really living off the grid and doing what they can, but it's just crazy to see the differences in the world that we live in today, and how we have autonomous almost tractors around here, and they again are still doing everything by hand with a hoe and just digging. And it's crazy to think about that they don't really have a whole lot of parents. So I'm 27 right now, and I farm with my dad, and I learn a lot from him, and he learned from his dad, and so on and so forth, going back to when our farm began. But because of the AIDS, HIV epidemic, there is a whole generation, almost a generation and a half, that is missing. So there's education that's not being passed down. It's being passed down from grandparent almost to grandchild, but there's a whole gap of education that is just being missed from the parents that are gone.
And as my daughter had said, our help with Uganda began with church mission projects the first couple years back in 2012 and 2013. We noticed that corn farmers, maize farmers in Uganda are just really struggling, and so we have helped to equip them with some resources and some education to help just take them a couple steps further beyond where they are, so that they can rise above subsistence farming and actually be profitable and have excess enough to feed themselves and enough to sell to keep their kids in school. Education is extremely important to these very humble people. And so just the whole fact of being able to raise them up a little bit better, helping them to farm better, has helped them in so many ways. In the past 3 to 4 years, with this ability that we've had to assist these farmers, we have provided them with an agronomist, with somebody to come in and educate them on just the small steps forward that they can make to make an even better crop for themselves of their maize, of their corn that is just used in so many ways. We've been able to supply his services for them, and then also been able to provide them with hand crank corn shellers and tarps and wheelbarrows. All are things normally they don't have because they are doing all of their crop work by hand. Just the mere fact of being able to have a hand crank corn sheller in order to clear the cobs off of all of the corn, and also the tarps help to protect their grain from the rain while it dries out in the sun. Wheelbarrows to help them just provide a little bit of easier manual labor of moving their corn.